this sense, it's hard to top that, or even to stay on that level.
Yeah. And so the Odyssey and Oracle album, which, as I say, it's since now become, a huge kind of critical and cult favourite. You sort of recently you played that live for the first time. It'd never been performed live again. Is that right? And I noticed here that you put out a CD as well of that whole concert.
That's coming out on the 30th of June, actually. Yeah. So that's 30th of June is the release date, I should say. And
what kind of got you back together then? You, as you say, you've done lots of solo stuff throughout the sort of 80s and 90s and so on. But what sort of brought you back together?
Chris White, the original bass player in the Zombies, who hadn't played live on stage for 40 years, said and used to come and has come to a lot of our gigs actually that Colin and I do as Colin Lyson Rodager of the Zombies. He came along and said, "Do you realise it's 40 years since the release of Odyssey and Oracle, and we've never ever played it? Some of those songs have never ever been played by anybody."
Yeah.
So we said, okay, let's do a premiere 40 years later. So we booked 2 nights at the Shepherd's Bush Empire, which sold out, and so we then made it 3 nights, and it was pretty scary because we went along and we didn't know until the end of the first song whether this was going to work.
Yes.
And I know the drummer had played every week. He got his own band, so his chops were pretty good. But the bass guitarist hadn't. I mean, he's a great guy and a great musician, but he hadn't played for all those years. And in the audience were all these people. Suddenly we got there on the first night and we said, got a good audience out there tonight. Paul Weller's bought tickets for all 3 nights. There's Robert.
He's doing a bit of touting out the front.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they were all lined up, weren't they?
Yes.
They had to
queue up.
Had to queue up
outside.
That's nice to keep Paul Weller waiting. That's nice.
A lot of young bands. I mean, we learned that Snow Patrol and Garbage were there, and there's all sorts of stuff going on. We thought, my God, what happens if this really falls flat on its backside? When we do. But at the end of the first song, it was quite obvious that it was going to work great, and we had a ball for the 3 nights. It was just great, and we've made a DVD which is still being edited at the moment, but also a CD, and we made an absolutely authentic recreation of it because we thought if we are going to do it, this is going to be a period piece, and we're going to do it right. So we'd used multi-tracking for the first time in Abbey Road when we made this album, and so there were 2 lots of keyboard parts on there, so I had to get another keyboard player. Darian Sahanaja from Brian Wilson's band came over because he loved the album. He played those parts. Our touring band supplemented Chris and Hugh, the original players, for the extra harmonies, etc. So every single part that was on the original Odyssey and Oracle is there, and even to the Victorian pedal organ, which I had to purchase again. I had to find and get renovated for one track called Butcher's Tale, and it really is an extraordinarily faithful recreation of that piece. So we thought if we are going to do it, it's going to be a one-off, absolutely authentic as we can make it.
And so you're going to do Time of the Season for us now, which obviously is from the album, and this will be sort of a stripped-down version, I guess. Which
slightly.
I've identified using my keen musical eye that there's only 2 of you, whereas often I think there's others in the band.
Yeah, there might be a few parts of this song.
It'll just go quiet. There'll be some drumming.
Yeah,
the Hammond hasn't turned up. Sure. I mean, I don't know what's happened today. I think I put it down to the traffic.
Just all talk amongst yourselves. If it goes quiet,
sure, we'll just fill it in.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. Quite wonderful. I just wanted to ask you a quick question, Colin, because I am currently working on a film, a film script about insurance salesmen. Now, am I right in saying that in between the Zombies finishing and your solo career beginning, you worked in an insurance office?
I did. I worked in the burglary department, waiting for someone to ring up and book a burglary. And no one ever did. I have no idea what I was doing there. But I think we were selling burglaries.
Was it quite bizarre to be in there, having been, I don't know, touring and rock and rolling and being presumably on top of the pops and stuff?
Well, I mean, it was in a way, but it was a big office. It was very, very busy. The phones rang all the time. And I think the first day I walked in, there was a bit of a strange reaction. But after that, everyone has to get on with what they're doing. Yeah. And I quite liked it because in a way it was quite therapeutic. I never sold insurance. I didn't know enough about insurance to sell it. I couldn't spell insurance. I was an office boy, really, and I used to answer the phone and just generally run around in ever-decreasing circles. That sort of thing. I've been doing that ever since, actually. So I did work in an insurance office. I really enjoyed it. It cleared my mind. But then after about 9 months, the phone started to ring. Hey, do you fancy making a few records? And I got back.
And also, I've got a claim because someone's just stolen my car.
Yes, but I know. Well, I wouldn't know how to help you there. You see, that's the trouble. I just didn't understand it at all.
And you've recently you've been touring. You toured the UK, and now you're off to the States. Is that right? You're touring.
Yes, we are.
I'm personally driving down to Gatwick on Monday evening. We finished on Friday, didn't we, Cole? The tour with the Yardbirds. We were touring.
It was
touring
great
the UK.
fun. We did 31 days with the Yardbirds. They're a wonderful band. We had a real laugh. It was very, very good. But just got a few days break and then we're off.
21 dates in the States. Then we come back and we tour the Ukraine. Then we go to Scandinavia. And then Holland and Belgium. So it's going to be a pretty intense year, I think.
And this is just playing. This is again playing the whole Odyssey and Oracle album. Or
No, it isn't.
No.
This is a very much like the Zombies and Beyond, really. Because one thing that people don't realise, the huge connection between Argent and the Zombies. In fact, Hold Your Head Up. Most people think I wrote that because I've got a co-write on it. I mean, this is what we decided to do at that point. But it was actually written by the bass player in the Zombies, Chris White.
Yeah.
So there's an enormous connection, and the Zombies and Beyond album attempts to do that for the first time. I produced all Colin's early solo albums as well, so there's a big tie-up with everything, really.
Great. Well, as I say, that album's available, which is a great introduction to the Zombies and also your solo work as well, and also the Odyssey and Oracle Revisited, which is you, as I say, recreating it again 40 years later. That's also coming out, you say, end of June.
End of June.
Perfect. All right. Round of applause, please, for the Zombies.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys, for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On digital, online.
If you need a sort of Arcade Fire light band to keep you occupied until the next Arcade Fire light style band releases a track, then that's the one for you. Meccano is the name of the song, and the band Red Light Company, that released on the 11th of August. Steve Show, Six Music with me, Steve Mitchell, my little posse here. My posse, my gang, I don't know what to call you. So we were compiling together a list of questions for any future guests, in the vein of the questions asked by James Lipton at the end of Inside the Actors Studio. He's asked those questions to the likes of, I don't know, Cruise, Kidman, all the big hitters. So we want something that we can ask that sort of, I don't know, that just reveals a little something about the guest. I've come up with a few of my own, which I'm quite pleased with. No, I'm genuine. I think because again, I don't want to just the kind of. I'm not just interested in this sort of kooky, would you rather be, I don't know,
an X or a Y?
Exactly.
A this or a that.
A this or a that. Thank you very much. Sorry, just talk amongst yourselves while I blow my nose.
A he or a she. Yeah.
Would you rather be a he or a she? Exactly. Although that could well make the list. I like things which maybe offer up a little insight into the workings of the person we're asking the question to. So, for instance, what unfinished business do you have with someone? Oh, look at Jude nodding.
Oh, there's a story there, isn't there?
Jude, the microphone's all yours.
Nope.
Ooh.
It's not me.
But you see, what's great is that even that alone it gives us an insight into Jude, doesn't it? That she's got unfinished business and she's unwilling to share it, suggesting that she is the culprit.
It's not fair. It's not fair on the person with whom I have unfinished business.
Yeah,
Ooh, it's a person, everyone.
My worry is that question might force an interviewee to clam up and feel nervous in the face of future questions.
Yes, but it's obviously where we position it in the list.
Clever.
And anyway, so that's one of them. Because let me see. The other one, of course. If you could exchange lives with anyone, who would it be? My answer, of course, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Mr. Will Smith.
Yeah.
I would happily be Mr. Will Smith. I would happily be living his life right now. He's got the rapping career. He's got the acting career.
Yeah.
He used to be a basketballer.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, what's not to like?
I saw an interview with him this week, and he said,
"Go on."
He said something like,
I thought you were going to say, and he was asked, "Who would you like to swap lives with?" And amazingly, Steve Merchant.
He was asked something about where he sees himself going, and he said that in the next 5 years, he says these are going to be my creative peak. He says, I feel like I've got a lot of views on the Earth and the universe, and I'd like to kind of crowbar them into my work.
Ooh, this is great.
So maybe you'd not necessarily want to be Will Smith.
I don't know. I like the idea if he is going to go slightly potty. That'd be fantastic.
Bonkers. He's so rich and so powerful and can basically do what he wants now.
And he's best friends with Tom Cruise.
He's got views.
Do you think there's been some sort of strange influence going on there?
Back off. We don't want to get in a
Careful.
trouble.
You don't want
to have us.
You don't want to mention the S word because they will sue. Apparently, them and Disney.
Yeah.
You know that famous saying? Don't mess with the mouse. All right.
I've never heard that.
You not heard that before? That's what they say in legal circles. Okay. Endlessly, they're constantly saying it on the corridors of town.
Sounds like fun.
Okay, so I've got a few more. So we're happy with those, are we?
Yeah, reasonably.
What past deed do you still feel guilty about? No.
Again, it's one that will make people clam up. People aren't just going to solicit this information willingly.
But that's what we want, isn't it? We want
I
people
think the
to-
trouble is, if there's something they genuinely feel guilty about, they probably won't tell you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but we want them to tell us.
Yeah, but they probably won't.
So
you're
Dan,
gonna
I
have
want
to
them to tell me. That's why I'm asking the question.
But you see a solid gold interviewer, say, Parky
Yeah.
or McCall, would gently insinuate their way into the person's thoughts and then pounce and then get them with the killer question.
So you're saying these are too heavy?
I think they're too heavy.
Okay, that's a shame, because I was going to have, what would you like to apologise for?
Again.
This is like a courtroom. This is.
No, I'm saying we choose one of these, but I think, because this is what I always, have I mentioned this before? I'm still racked with girls when we were at school. I mean, when we first started doing, I think I first started doing Spanish, which I don't know what year I would have been, 4th year maybe?
Yeah,
something like that. And we all issued pen pals, and I got a letter sent from a Spanish girl, and it was it had lots of she'd drawn snakes on the envelope and flowers and stuff like that. That freaked me out, and I never replied. And even to this day, I'm racked with guilt by it.
I think you did the right
I
thing.
kept it for a long time, that letter. I think I might even still have it, because I just felt like I ought to one day write and apologise. I think it was just because I was young and I just was a bit freaked out by the idea of a girl who likes snakes.
She was nervous about writing in a different language, so she was just embellishing the letter with a few little
No, I know, of
rhymes.
course, and this is why I feel so bad, because she obviously was hoping to strike up a correspondence with... It just makes me feel so bad, so,
I think you did
Senorita,
the right thing.
whoever you are, and that woman turned out to be Penelope Cruz, if only that were the case. So, right, okay, so anyway, we had some other listener suggestions, right?
Alison on the text said Victoria Wood said there'd only be a revolution in Britain if they banned caravanning and car boot sales. What would we ban? What would you ban? What would you,
That's a
the
good question.
interviewee, ban?
What would we ban? I know your answer. Immigration. Isn't that right? I know, that's what you said in the pub last week. That's what you said in the pub last week.
Oh, you're putting words in my mouth.
Irrigation. is what you said.
Irrigation, absolutely.
Irrigation.
That brings food to millions.
Yeah.
Why ban?
Well, you don't want to mess with the water table.
Okay.
What would you ban, Dan?
Ban. Racists.
Would you ban racists?
Yes, I've banned racists. I'd come over here, taking our jobs.
Sure.
Gets right
Blooming spiders, that's what I'd ban.
Spiders, you'd ban
Spiders
spiders.
over the size of a 20p piece.
Sure. You can have them banned. Okay, that's easy to we can get that sorted. No worries.
Kate X has been in touch. This is a good one. Or it might be Kate followed by a kiss. I'm not sure. What advice would you give your teenage self?
Very good. Very good.
I quite like that one. Yeah, it's all about the wisdom of age.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
what you've learned in the last however long it is.
Sammy?
That was only like literally a few months ago.
I know,
so
I know.
can't
That amused
really-
me, actually.
In being 19, not that different to being now. Probably don't spend so much money on that pair of shoes. The heel only fell off.
That's very specific.
Yeah.
Dan, you must have some advice for tiny Dan.
Yeah, don't worry so much.
For even tinier Dan.
Even tinier Dan, don't worry so much. Don't worry about your size. It'll work out all right. You'll end up on national radio somehow.
Sure. I think my advice would just be, it don't get easier.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's brilliant.
It doesn't get easier.
cheery.
It doesn't get easier.
Angst-ridden teenage Steve is going to push him over the edge.
I know.
Unbelievable.
I'm rid of him at last. Have you got any more then?
I've got one here from Rosie, which is a very pretty name. She says, if you could jump into any painting and then live the life depicted in the picture forevermore, which painting would you choose?
It's good, but I wonder if painting is going to, alienate perhaps some of the young indie rock bands that we might interview in the future. What if we changed it to something a bit more utilitarian? What if we made it movies? If you could jump into a movie and live the life
That's
of that
easier.
movie.
Yeah.
Jude's got one. Jude's got one straight away.
Jude's got one.
Amelie.
Oh, God's sake. What? Oh.
And he's gorgeous.
Oh, I feel so queasy. I feel sick at the very thought of you prancing around helping people's lives. Do you know what mine would be? Dirty Dancing.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I would. Don't put me in the corner, Jude. But I would. I would love to. I'd love to.